This video is brought to you by Wizards of the Coast, but more on that in a moment. In today's video, I'll be opening up a sealed pool of Tarkir Dragonstorm, including also at the end, a collector booster as well for a little bit of added excitement. All sent to me as part of a sponsorship for this video from Wizards of the Coast. Like I said, it's going to be a sealed pool. We can get a pre-release kit ready for the videos. We've got 6 packs here. I'm going to open this and build a limited deck from it, similar to what you'd see at a pre-release. I'll talk through some of my logic as to why I'm picking this stuff. I'm just talking about Dragonstorm's whole vibe and feel, which is really good if you ask me. I've been waiting for a Magic the Gathering set like this for quite some time. I'm excited to feel both a nostalgia for an old school feel of Magic, but also seeing the future of Magic where it takes itself seriously with a reverence for its own source material and original IP. Doesn't mean I'm not excited for Spider-Man though. Very excited for Spider-Man. Just to reiterate, this is a sponsored video from Wizards of the Coast. If you're looking at a pre-release for Tarkir Dragonstorm, you can check out the link in the description below to the store locator to go and find your local pre-release. And if you're in London and you go to Bad Moon Cafe, I'll be there on the Saturday the 5th for their pre-release. See you there. Right, this is the exciting part where we get to crack some boosters. I'll crack my knuckles first. Let's go. This is pack 1. So our rare, we're going to do straight to rare, I think, and then go through the rest of it. We got... Oh, it's happening again. It's happening again. Every time I do one of these videos where Wizards send me stuff, I get real lucky. I've already opened one collector booster for a short. I didn't get that lucky there, unless one of the cards becomes much more desirable than it currently is. Either way, we hit double mythic first pack. We got Dragonback Assault. For those of you who haven't seen this, I'll read it through for you. This foil mythic Dragonback Assault reads, it's 6 mana in Teemo. It says when this enchantment enters, it deals 3 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. So it's a Pyroclasm or Anger of the God style effect. And landfall, whenever a land you control enters the battlefield, create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. This card is absolutely bonkers and limited because it helps you to clear up any sort of early aggression from the opposing player. And then per land drop on turn 7 onwards, you get 4/4 dragons. It does take a little while to get there, but at least it's not do nothing. This last line of text is good generally, and you have a Wrath there. And then I got a Mox Jasper, which is basically a Mox, similar to Mox Opal or Chrome Mox, only the traditional Moxen, but it only taps for mana if you control a dragon, which in this limited format you probably can get to, but remember this is getting you to your 6 and 7 drops faster, but you need to have a low curve dragon to sort of turn this on, if you will. So not the best mythic in the set. Then beyond there, we got Sarkhan's Resolve, Saltwood Pack Beast, we got Ringing Strike Master, Feral Death Gorger, Shock Brigade, Jadecast Sentinel, Rescue Leopard, Leopard, Channel Dragonfire, Spectral Denial, Stalwart Successor, Jeskai, Shrinekeeper. This is the 5 mana 3/3 uncommon. So each of the uncommon, like, clan dragons are pretty damn good. This one says, whenever this creature does combat damage to a player, you gain 1 life and draw a card, which is a very, very strong on-hit effect. Big fan of that. Got an island and a soldier token there too. Now, in sorting out my, like, my polls and my opens here to figure out what I'm building for a deck, it's quite an interesting set because when you get sets like Ravnica or Tarkir, there's obviously a strong multicolor focus. You got to figure out where you're putting, how you're sorting that. So I'm going to sort clans and individual colors too, which means that, yeah, the board's going to get quite busy, but I'll still open up to here as we go. I'll put my mythics and rares down here for now. Jeez, that was a good pack. I'll put multicolor in its own pile for now. Right, pack 2. Can I do another mythic? Get accused of having seeded packs once again. Let's try it. Go straight to the rare. Start with. We've got a Mardu Siegebreaker. We've got a foil Temur Tawnyback. We've got a Showcase Boulder Dragon. And then we've got some other stuff, including a Keru Goalkeeper. This is the Sultai Dragon. This is flying. Whenever 1 or more creatures leaves your graveyard during your turn, create a treasure token. So that's powered up by both Renew. I guess Harmonize is not on creatures this time around. Similar to how Flashback is rarely actually on creatures, if ever. We've never had a Flashback creature, right? So it's mainly for triggering Renew, and it also plays well with the old mechanic of Delve. Importantly, we've also got a Jungle Hollow in that pack, which gives us a green-black source for us to play multicolour if we want to. Let's look at that rare, the Mardu Siegebreaker. Human Warrior, 4 mana, 4/4. Death, Touch, and Haste. When this creature enters, exile to 1 other target creature you control until this creature leaves the battlefield. When this creature attacks, for each opponent, create a tap token as a copy of the exiled card attacking that opponent. At the beginning of your end step, sacrifice those tokens. So basically gives one of your creatures Myriad, if you understand that from the commander decks, in a sense, but you have to remove the creature under this. What that does is that it allows you to like retrigger ETBs. With Mardu Siegebreaker, it's going to put the creature under it until it dies. If this were to die, the creature would come back again, getting another trigger for the battlefield effect. So for example, with our Saltwood Pack Beast, we'll draw a card every single time. It's also costs less for each creature we control too. So we're going to be able to shrink down the cost of this by flooding the board, draw a card when it enters, put it under Mardu Siegebreaker, attack, trigger, draw a card, and so on, and so on, and so on. I think Mardu Siegebreaker is actually really fun. I love the XL under it until it leaves effects that you can re-trigger and stuff like Abdul Adrian. Big fan of that. This Boulder-born Dragon's a 5-mana flying vigilant 3/3. Whenever this creature attacks, fail 1. That is fine. And Temur Tornback is a common. When this creature enters, draw a card, then discard a card. Not quite as good as Salt Road Pack Beast with our Siegebreaker. Now, like I said, it does feel like old classic Magic in a sense, mainly because I played quite a lot. Like, it might have been at one of the peaks of my pre-content career was playing during original Tarkir block. It's a set that I'm very fond of. The whole block I'm very fond of. But beyond that, it's just, there's a very classic vibe to it. I think the power level is significantly up from, you know, the 10 or so years ago since we had Tarkir, which makes me feel like a very old person. How are your knees? If you remember original Tarkir, how are your knees? Okay, go to the back again. Elephant token, sure. Let's put that in the token pile. Come on, what we got? What we got for me? White red land, sure. We got a foil Temur monument, sure. We'll look at that in a second. We got Sarkhan himself, the Dragon Ascendant, and then we got no other showcase. But we did get our first skirmish rhino. This is Siege Rhino for 1 less mana. Trample. When this enters, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So it's got a multiple effect in multiplayer. It doesn't matter if it's limited and pre-release. And it's a trampling 3/4 for 3 mana. Our Sarkhan is a 2 mana. Whenever this enters, you may behold a dragon. If you do, create a treasure token. So show a dragon from hand or have a dragon in play that you point to. Whenever a dragon you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on Sarkhan. Until end of turn, Sarkhan becomes a dragon in addition to its other types and gains flying. So in this limited pool, I'm almost certainly playing this alongside my Mox Jasper. This is in the same colours as our mythic Dragonback Assault as well. In the same colours as Mardu Siegebreaker. Bearing in mind that whatever dragon unit control enters, if we can put a dragon under Mardu Siegebreaker, attack our opponent, trigger, make another dragon, trigger, put a counter on Sarkhan. We're probably Magical Christmas Land at that point, we're winning, but it's still something we can do. The red-white land is a pretty good pick up there as well. We want to see as many of those from packs as possible instead of basics when it comes to building a limited deck at least. Skirmish Rhino. Riling Dawnbreaker is a white omen spell. Create a 2/2 soldier creature token, and it has flying vigilance at the beginning of combat on your turn. Another target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn on a 5-mana 3/4 flying vigilant dragon. Some people are talking about how like Omen is a worse adventure, and of course it's a worse adventure. Adventure allows you to get 2 spells out for 1. Obviously, there are some random upsides to this. Shuffling this into your library will shuffle your library, which is top deck manipulation, brainstorms, Oracle on more dies and stuff. But the other thing that people aren't realizing is that it's new design space. So if this was just adventure and then creature, you have to balance the card around both sides, like you've seen in Throne of Eldraine in the past, where they've succeeded and also failed with some of the cards. In this case, where Omen shuffles back in, you can actually push both sides of the card to be stronger than your average adventure card. I do think Wizards of the Coast have been really, really safe with the Omen cards, both on the Omen side and the creature side. Although I guess for a common, this does a hell of a lot of stuff. Maybe I'm talking too much from a constructor perspective there. Skirmish, when I go into our multicolour pile. We've got a crocodile. Crocodiles are very much a thing on Tarkir, which I love. Sacred Wildling is a layer of the land on one side for the Omen, or a 3/3 flying 5-mana dragon that gains you 3 life whenever this creature enters. Not a bad card. Desperate Measures is a 1 black target gets +1/+1 to end of turn. When it does under your control, this turn, draw 2 cards. It's a temporary 1-shot Skull Clamp, which I think in Limited I quite like for getting a bit of a combat trick out of it. And then drawing some cards. You can, of course, -1 the opponent's creature to kill it, but you don't draw the cards. Formation Breaker and Effortless Master. In red-blue, Vigilant Menace 4/3. This creature enters +1/+1, 2 +1/+1 counters on it if we've cast 2 or more spells this turn. Not the kind of thing that I like to build, if I'm honest. The 2 spells a turn matters stuff has always like completely turned me off. It's just never been a thing I've been interested in. I think I'm going to be in Mardu. I really do want to play this, but at the moment, well, we'll see. We've got 3 more packs to go. Pack 4. Oh, wait, look at Temur Monument, sorry. When it ends the battlefield, search your library for a basic forest, island, or mountain, reveal it and put it into your hand, and then it can become a 5/5. You sack this to make a 5/5 elephant creature token. So yeah, it's basically fixing more so than ramp. Going to the back again, we've got a white-black land, which helps us with the Mardu. We've got a blue foil snow melt stag. We got Kotis the Fangkeeper, big fan of this card. And Katiak Guardian here. Let's look at those for a second. So Kotis the Fangkeeper is a 4-mana, blue, black, green, and 1, 2/1 zombie warrior, indestructible. Whenever Codis deals combat damage to a player, exile top X cards of their library, where X is the amount of damage dealt. You may cast any number of spells with mana value X or less from among them without paying their mana cost. So of course, if you hit them for 2, you exile 2, and you can play any 2 drops or lower. In limited, which obviously we're focusing on here, pre-release, that's not that good. But that said, a 2/1 indestructible creature is an incredible blocker for the most part. If you equip it with an equipment, we got this equipment earlier, didn't we? We got the blade. No, we didn't. That was in the short that I won't spoil too much. We opened that blade. I was like, I'm sure I opened that today. I opened it in a different video. Okay, so if you get the blade that like costs less to equip for each card the opponent is, it costs like 1 to equip or whatever. And then this thing's hitting for quite a bit, and you can get free spells out of it. You can mill your opponent out for it. It's got an interesting application limited. Of course, its rate is far down, but like the effects are very good, and Indestructible makes it a good blocker as well as its offensive tool here. So I wouldn't mind playing that, but again, I don't think it's going to get me out of the Sarkhan Siegebreaker plan. Though, back on the Dragonback Assault plan, we got Karakik Guardian. It's a 6-mana Temur 6/5 flying, vigilant, trampling. This creature, it has hexproof if it hasn't dealt damage yet. That's right, this is Palladia's Moors with 1 power of toughness knocked off. It's no longer legendary, it's no longer mythic, it's not uncommon. This is going to be a problem for some decks to deal with. But of course, I think in this limited environment, having this like hugely statted, triple keyworded creature, it's not as bad as it would be in other limited environments, because a lot of people have been playing dragons. So even like 3-4 dragons plus another dragon can double block this down and similar. I'm not saying that's ideally where you want to be at, but it's just a point that big, fatty dragons is where most people will be at in the limited format. So it is contextual, just to be very clear. And then we just got some other bits and bobs here. We're going to just get these into their piles. We'll have a proper look a bit later. Just get sorted. Marshal of the Lost is a 4-mana death touching. Whenever the target creature gets +X+X, X is the number of attacking creatures. Quite a good way to slam a jam in the air with an attacker. Pack 5, let's go. What we got in the back? We got a Stillwater Cliffs and another warrior. We've got a foil and a Fencer, and we got another Cotis. Interesting. And we got an Opulent Palace, which is the Sultai uncommon land. So Cotis we've already been over. We now have 2 copies of her. Which is, it's good in some ways to have 2 powerful effects or bombs. However, playing 2 4-mana 2/1s is a little bit sus. It's going to be a problem for you having like stuff on curve that can be, I don't know, a 6-mana 6/5 flying trampling dragon, for example. But on top of that, because she's legendary, the second copy, whilst can replace the first one that gets killed, and she's hard to kill, she's indestructible, it's not great because you can get them stuck in hand. If you draw both of them, one of them is redundant and not in a good way. And Offense of the Unyielding Lineage is a 3-mana 2/2 with flash and first strike. So having a flash first strike is already a legit place to be in terms of limited combat tricks. They can attack in, you can flash this in. If you have another first striker, you're absolutely laughing. If not, you can still strike down like a 2 toughness thing. But whenever another non-token creature you control dies, an Offensive endures 2, which gets 2+1/+1 counters, or make a 2/2 white spirit. Now the important thing, because she's got flash, is you can come in, you can declare blocks in such a way that your opponent knows you're going to have unfavorable blocks. You're going to lose some bodies, right? So like a 1/1 creature gets killed in combat. That will trigger an offender because your opponent didn't have that math in your head, their head, that they're going to have to deal with an offender's triggers. And whenever another non-token creature you control dies, it doesn't say another 1 or more, it says another. So if you flash this in a block with 3 1/1s, for example, and they all die, you get 3 separate triggers of an offender. So an offender can get absolutely massive, or she can make multiple warriors, replacing the things you chumped with 2/2 white spirit creatures, not warriors, sorry. Very, very strong and limited. Almost certainly pushing me towards playing white, which is where I thought I'd be with the Mardu stuff. And then let's just get these color-coded and out of the way. Let's look at some more tentpole, like, multicolored stuff. By tentpole, I mean, like, signposts, is probably a better way of putting it. Things that might veer me towards a certain direction. We've got Opulent Palace, which allows us to cast Sultai spells. Of course, we can play Opulent Palace in off-color a little bit. So if we were in Temur, which is the blue, red, and green clan, which is one of my preferred clans, them and the Abzan, I think, are my favorites, if I'm honest. We can play this in there. It comes to play tapped, but it still untaps and taps for 2 of our colors, which is super important for helping us fix our mana. In essence, you can imagine it being, in this case, the blue-green version of the life gain land without the life gain. Reputable Merchant is a 3-mana, or there's this interesting hybrid situation on some of the cards in the set. So instead of playing white or black, you can instead play just 2 colorless mana. So you can play this off color, similar to what I was saying about this land, right? This can be in our blue, green, red deck. If we're in like black, green and blue Sultai, the white people can play for 2 mana. So it's a 4-mana spell in our 3-color deck that's not playing white. Whenever this creature enters or dies, put a +1 counter on target creature you control, which is pretty sweet. So we can play this in our Mardu deck. We can play that with our Trying to live the dream with Mardu Siegebreaker, which will put this into under it, and we attack with it. We get a copy of it, which puts a count on target creature, which could be the Mardu Siegebreaker to stop it from getting killed by a 4/4 and similar. But of course, this would be 4 mana in that deck because we haven't got access to green necessarily. Although we might have access to green if we've got like off-color, not fetches, but triomes. Yeah, pretty interesting like design choice for a limited environment. As someone who's got super into cube designing and cube playing recently, my love for limited is back. I never enjoyed limited more than I have right now. In the back of this pack, we've got a foil Fortress Kingguard, come to that in a minute. Songcrafter Mage, let's go. Let's talk about that card. And we've got another uncommon multicolored card we're going to talk about. So let's talk about those in a second. Songcrafter Mage is the return, the powered up version of Snapcaster Mage. Now, it's not as good as Snapcaster Mage. I've got a whole video about this coming out on the channel probably today. 3 mana, 3/2, green, red, and blue. So already it's more restrictive than Snapcaster. Snapcaster Mage, you can you can splash into blue-white or blue-black or whatever color pairings you want to put with blue or mono blue. Here, you do need to be in 3 colors to get access to Songcrafter Mage. Very obvious statement, but it's very much a huge downside compared to Snapcaster Mage. It is 1 more mana, which is also a downside, not as much of a downside as the color requirements in my opinion. But when it's got Flash, it's a 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains Harmonize until end of turn. Its Harmonize cost is equal to its mana cost. So it gives it flashback, but the flashback mechanic from this set is flashback, but if you tap a creature, you can reduce the cost of it by its power. So in this case, we would Harmonize, let's say, Seize Opportunity, as an example. And then we could tap Songcrafter Mage, reduces cost by 3 generic mana, meaning that we could flash this in for 3 and pay this for 1, and then do one of the 2 effects. It's very, very strong in the sense that it's kind of worse with lower CMC spells. So if you're trying to like Snapcaster in and cast Ancestral Recall in Cube or Vintage, or Lightning Bolt in Modern, which is what no one does anymore but used to, then Songcrafter Mage flashing back those spells costs you 1 more mana and needs you to be in 2 more colours, and is thus significantly worse, and that's probably the best way to highlight how Snapcaster Mage is better than Songcrafter Mage. What Songcrafter Mage does excel at, what Snapcaster does not, is casting huge spells. So for example, if you flash this in, target a 5 mana spell, and tap this to make the 5 mana spell now cost 2 mana, you've now played 5 mana to play a 3/2 body and the 5 mana spell. Where Snappy plus 5 mana spell will be 7 mana, and you got a 2/1 body. Snappy's kind of better at being an ambush Viper, or just being a surprise blocker that can chump something because it's cheaper in a way. But again, Songcrafter Mage can also flash in, give something Harmonize, block, which allows it to trade up better because it's a 3/2, and then tap and Harmonize the spell because you get the Harmonize effect until end of turn. Yeah, this card is great. This card is really, really good, and it's heavily, heavily balanced around the fact that it's 3 color. So it stops it from being this like incredibly pushed and broken 3 mana Snapcaster Mage, but instead becomes this very interesting tension area of being 3 color. I love this card. I love this design. I think it's sweet. Here's the new Anox. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't like the cute Doge dog stuff with the new dog men. I prefer the old look, just how I feel about it. But a 2 mana 1/2 that either comes in as a 2/3 or makes an extra 1/1 body is right up my street. I love this stuff. If you can recur it out of the bin by with old school Lesher, if you can flicker it with a flicker spell, if you can put it underneath Mardu Siegebreaker and attack with it, you're getting so much value off the Fortress King card. Big fan of this. And we've got Thornwood Falls to help fix our mana, Soldier Token, and there's other like Jeskai Tentpole Uncommon is a double striking prowess 2/4 for 4 mana, which it's getting chumped all day, and in a world of dragons, it doesn't even race dragons that well. But even casting 1 spell gets you to get in for 6 if they haven't got a blocker, or you can get this past them, or they don't want to block it. Pretty reasonable uncommon, not as good as some of the others though, if I'm honest. Right, let's have a look at the pool overall. One more Sultai card. It is blue, black, and green, or any of those pips can be paid for 2 colorless mana. 3/3 Human Ranger. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may put 1 of those cards back onto your library, put the rest into your graveyard. This effect, in my opinion, is not very good. It is what's called card quality adjustment, or card quality, not card advantage. So you're looking at the top 3 cards of your library and you get to put 1 of them back. You can fill up your graveyard with cards for graveyard matters stuff, things that care about cards in graveyard, size of graveyard, types in graveyard, or cards that have the Sultai mechanic, which is the ability to kind of flashback a creature for an effect. Sure. But ultimately, you aren't drawing a card off of it, so you're actually a card down in playing this body. You're just adjusting your draw. You can put lands in the bin, for example, and put something else on top if you're not trying to hit your land drops. It's fine. I'm just not very excited by it. And the fact that out of color, it's going to be a 4 mana 3/3 in the current contemporary world of Magic just seems so low on that, like where I want to be. So this is where I've ended up. I'm playing Mardu, splashing blue for just the 5 mana 3/3 flying haste that draws cards. To do that, I'm going to have access to blue off of 1 mana rock, blue off of a Swift Water Cliffs, which is basically a tapped red source that also makes blue, and blue off of this, which is a tapped black source that also makes blue. So they're my fixing lands, essentially. I could play 1 island to go and fetch off this Embermouth Sentinel, but I think that makes my mana significantly worse. Although, on the upside, looking at my mana, none of my cards cost like double white, double black, or double red, so that's maybe a consideration for 1 island. My deck is loads of 2-drops. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 2-drops, 2 3-drops, 4 4-drops, and then I've got a 5-drop. That's always a 5-drop, which is the Splashing Dragon of Card Advantage. We've then got a 5-drop, which is also a 2 mana make a 2/2 soldier, so this can go back into my deck and make this initially, and then replay on this. I'm going to get to it. And same here, put a count on something and draw a card for 2 mana, replay it as a 6 mana 3/5 flying death touching creature that exiles cards from graveyard when it gets played later. That's what the Omen is. It's the Omen of an impending dragon, if you will, because you're going to play it on the left side first. And then this 6-drop here costs 1 less for each creature I control, and when it enters draws a card, replaces itself. It's not going to be a 5-drop, it's probably a 4 or a 3-drop, because over here we've got make 2 bodies, make 2 bodies, make 2 bodies, put this behind there, put this behind there, make 2 bodies, and then we've also got make 2 bodies. Like about a quarter, maybe just shy of a third of our creatures make 2 bodies when they come in. This even puts a body back in our hand, I guess. So that's our plan. And then the reason I'm on Mardu is for removal. So we've got, this is kind of removal to kill an X1, but really it's draw 2 cards. Then we've got damage equals number of creatures you control, 5 damage for attacking and blocking creature, 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker, destroy target creature. That's 4 raw dog removal spells. I actually cut 2 damage with a harmonized flashback, which I think is probably quite good, but it's bad into the bigger creatures, and I need to make some space and keep my creature count high. I could have been, my pool is really good. The blue splash is facilitated by 2 lands here and the rock. And then, like, I could have been in Temur with, like, this Tapcaster Mage, this really good Mythic, and this good Uncommon, and a Fixing Totem. But blue-green didn't have much in the way of removal in it, and that's something that I really want to have, you know. I want to have minimum 2 removal spells in my limited deck, preferably 4, 5, maybe even 6 if we can get there. And then on the blue, green, black side of things, similar scenario, again, blue and green felt weaker. So even though these cards are drawing me towards those colours, I think I really want to see what my other colours look like, and my red and my white looked quite deep. Deep by I mean having options and a large number of playables. And again, 2 of my splashy bomb cards are both, well, they're legendary and thus not great in multiples, but also in a format of uncommon flying hasting 3/3s or uncommon 6/5 flampling vigilance. I don't know if my 4 mana 2/1 really cuts the mustard, and the rest of the cards were just okay. They're not things that I think lure me into it. I don't play Mox Jasper because really, although Sarkhan can turn it on, for Sarkhan to turn it on, I have to play a dragon that turn to turn him into a dragon, and that's just never fucking happening, right? So I don't play Mox Jasper because I'm just never going to reliably turn it on. I do have 1, 2, 3, with Sarkhan turning into a dragon, 4 dragons, but that's just not enough to justify this card. I think this card is a trap, maybe even constructed. So that is my limited deck. I think this deck is pretty sweet looking. It's very aggressive. Yeah, I think I can win some games with this. Let me know what you think of the limit deck in the description below. Let me know what you would have played and wouldn't have played. In the meantime, we're going to end up the video with a collector boosty. Again, free preview / sponsored by Wizards of the Coast. This is not part of my limit pool, but I'm excited to open it. Collector boosters are always an exciting time, right? Especially when you hit good. And I tend to open good on camera. So are you ready for me to redo the good again? We're going from back. Wingspan Stride. We've got an aggressive negotiations, Dragonback Lancer, Snakeskin Veil, Overwhelming Surge, Wave Speaker Bodyguard, Defibrillating Current. We've got a showcase alternate frame Storm Shriek Feral, a foil version of Storm Shriek Feral, a foil, what's it called, Shadowland, if you will. A green version of the new, like, Green Sun Zenith with the set mechanic. So it's green, X, search for creature. Not a green creature, just any creature. Put it into play, value X or less. Harmonize, green, X, where you can tap the creature you just got for that to go and do the same thing again. I think this card's very good. I'm looking forward to it. We've got Redoubled Stormsinger. From the commander product, a 3-mana first striking 3/3. Whenever this creature attacks, for each creature token you control that enters this turn, create a tapped and attacking creature token. Let's copy that token. At the beginning of your next end step, sacrifice that token. Oh, that is a token payoff and a half, isn't it? And we've got Sage of the Skies, 3-mana 2/3. When you cast this spell, if you cast another spell this turn, copy the spell Flying Lifelink. It's a storm creature in white, which I think is just wonderful. I'm glad to see like some interesting design space there. Taval, Arbiter of Virtue in a dragon frame. That's kind of, wow, that's sexier than the other dragon frame. Why is that? Is that a different frame? I guess it must be the multicolored one, the gold-colored one that I like. This is the Flying Lifelink spells. You control have Delve. Whenever you cast a spell, you lose life equal to its mana value. So you can cast big spells, but exile cards will be graveyard away, but it will cost you life. And then we've also got a Ruinous Ultimatum in the showcase foil. That is sexy. Look at that. Oh, showcases being cards that aren't legal in standard, but they're things that not showcases, sorry, special guest. They're cards that fit the vibe, but don't want to go through standard. In this case, it's from Ixalan, not Ixalan, from Ikoria, the Ruinous Ultimatum, but in this case with dragons on it. Strength comes through, comes from community. Together we can destroy any enemy, says Neriv, which is the Mardu dragon, the Mardu spirit dragon. That's a pretty good hit. I'm pretty happy with this. Taval looks gorgeous in that frame. Loving like the almost like fairy tale, like folklore look of the art in that frame too. And I got a 4 zombie druid and a treasure. That was that's a sexy treasure too. I love that. Loving the gold on red. I've been Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Would you like to see more limited content from me? Do you want to see deck breakdowns and gameplay and drafting and such? I'm on a real limited kick right now, so I think when the set drops, I will do some streaming or videos of me drafting it. They're not normally popular on the channel, but I'd love to add that string to my bow and create a new audience there as well. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to like down below and comment down below as well. It keeps Wizard sending stuff out to me to make videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one.